It begins with a photograph. Men in uniform, but not the kind you expect. They hold paintbrushes, script pages, tape reels. Behind them, canvas bladders the size of houses lie folded like sleeping whales. This is the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, a classified U.S. Army unit assembled during World War II to do something unusual, to win a war with illusion. Imagine warfare as a stage production stretched across hundreds of miles. The 23rd was the production company, officially nicknamed the Ghost Army. Its members were artists, actors, designers, sound engineers, and craftsmen, recruited for their creative skills rather than battlefield record. Their mission? To deceive, to convince enemy commanders that divisions existed where there were none, to make quiet patches of countryside appear occupied by armored columns, airfields, entire corps. The tactics were simple in concept, astonishing in execution. First, there were inflatable tanks and artillery. These enormous rubber decoys, when inflated, mimicked the silhouettes of armored vehicles. From a distance, under the cloudy skies of Europe or bathed in the glow of dawn, they read as steel and threat. Second, the unit used fake radio traffic. Actors posing as signal operators generated convincing chatter. Orders, reconnaissance reports, supply requests. The Germans, monitoring frequencies, heard what they expected to hear. Third, and perhaps most striking, sound trucks played back recordings of armored divisions. Massive speakers, sometimes mounted on half-tracks, broadcast the rumble of tanks, the clack of tracks, and the distant rumble of motors. Together, these elements formed a sensory deception, sight, sound, and electronic presence, designed to mislead enemy reconnaissance. Logistics turned trickery into reality. The Ghost Army did not remain static. Its teams moved along front lines with the furtive agility of theater crews changing sets. Inflatable decoys were transported in packed bundles and exploded into shape in minutes. Sound records were carefully calibrated. Microphones and speakers were hidden in hedgerows and orchards. Radio operators studied German interception habits and tailored their transmissions to fit the expected patterns of rank and units. Reconnaissance planes circled, ground scouts probed, and when German observers reported back, they reported large formations where none existed. These operations were not merely clever pranks. They were strategically timed to influence major military maneuvers. During the lead-up to the Normandy invasion and in the subsequent push across Western Europe, the Ghost Army staged phantom units to pin down enemy forces, to suggest threats in sectors that were, in reality, lightly defended. By doing so, they helped divert German troops away from actual Allied operations. The deceptions were often coordinated with real offensives, feints that cinched attention and firepower away from the true points of attack. The stakes were immense. This was not theater for its own sake. It was theater intended to save lives. Military analysts later estimated that the work of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops prevented as many as 20,000 casualties. That figure captures the paradox at the heart of the unit's legacy. Artists and engineers, wielding rubber and sound recordings, reduced the human cost of steel and gunfire. One set of hands painted a tank's shadow on canvas. Another loaded a reel of recorded engine noise. Elsewhere, commanders adjusted troop movements in response. The result was the quiet shifting of bloodshed, away from places where people were fighting with no illusions. The soft art of deception translating into hard numbers of saved lives. Secrecy cloaked their victories. For decades, the Ghost Army's operations were classified. Their stories lived in the margins of military history. Only later did historians and surviving members reveal how shafts of sunlight on a rubber turret, a practiced radio voice, and the roar from a speaker truck could change the course of a battle. Theirs was a war of perception, proving that imagination can be an instrument of survival. In the end, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops remind us that warfare is not only fought with bullets and steel, it is also fought in the mind, with misdirection, creativity, and the ability to persuade an enemy to see what is not there. That capacity to bend reality, quietly and precisely, turned canvas and sound into a shield, and in the process, saved thousands of lives.